I want to go back to trade for a second, because I've got a tweet right here from one of our viewers, and he writes, can there be a meaningful discussion why our immigration must be open with Mexico and most Muslim countries? Okay, so he's pushing back on this idea. Where do you stand, and where does Donald come out in terms of trade? I mean, Mexico, obviously a very important trading partner. So, you know, he talks about the wall, he talks about what's wrong with our trade deals. Tell us what's right about them.
Well, there's very little right about our trade deals. There's virtually nothing right about our trade deals. We've been getting taken to the cleaners by every country we trade with. We have a trading deficit with almost all of our major trading partners. If you look at, for instance, say, Japan and our car trading deficit, or you look at China, where we have hundreds of billions of dollars of trade deficits. So our entire trade policy needs to be retooled, and one major change we have to make is to stop foreign currency cheating, the devaluation of foreign currencies to put American companies out of business. And that's a big difference in this race. Ted Cruz has voted consistently to protect China and protect China's ability to devalue their currency. Donald Trump has pledged to crack down on currency. So a vote for Ted Cruz really is a vote to offshore American jobs to China.
Well, how do you push back on the fact that, you know, free trade has been, you're right in terms of fairness, but what about free trade making products cheap for Americans to buy, you know, opportunity for, you know, diversity in terms of products around the world? I mean, trying to get to a balance of some.
Well, the results of our current trade policy are in, and they are an epic failure. Look at Detroit, which has been completely deindustrialized, and look at Shanghai, which has been completely built up at the expense of American workers. But with respect to the price of goods, keep in mind, when we ship all these jobs overseas, it drives down wages in America. It drives down the standard of living. And so the real cost of goods goes up. By comparison, if you bring these jobs back to America, you create good-paying middle-class manufacturing jobs, and incomes go up. The real price of goods goes down. So you're really not saving anybody any money by sending our entire middle class overseas. We can't have a services-only economy. We just can't do it. And you fix our trade policy and you fix our immigration policy to create a tighter labor market, the standard of living for American workers is going to soar.
You make a lot of good points, Stephen. Let me ask you about this fun that Donald Trump and Ted Cruz were having on social media last night, using Jim Carrey movies to hit at each other. Donald posted a picture of Cruz in the film Liar Liar, while Cruz responded with Me, Myself, and Don, a play on the comedy Me, Myself, and Irene. Is he having fun with this?
Well, Donald Trump, I think, is having fun with it, but he's also making a serious point about Ted Cruz's record and his honesty. I was shocked at the last debate. Ted Cruz said, I've always been opposed from the beginning to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, right, which is President Obama's massive 12-nation trade deal. Well, people can literally go read the Wall Street Journal op-ed that Ted Cruz wrote with Paul Ryan supporting the Trans-Pacific Partnership and saying how great it would be for American consumers. So there's a real question of honesty there, and I do think that's a serious issue.
Stephen, can you just talk again about TPP and some of the other deals that are out there pending right now? The idea here, I guess, is that if President Trump would tear all these up, start from scratch, how are you really going to convince all of the partners, all of the allies to open these things back up and negotiate new deals? I mean, realistically, isn't that a really, really tough challenge diplomatically, politically, economically during...
At any time.
That is a great question. Who are the big winners in the Trans-Pacific Partnership? It's the small countries with small markets, like a Vietnam. I read an article
which is doing really well, by the way, Vietnam.
I read an article which said that Vietnam celebrated the TPP with the same jubilation as when American troops left in Vietnam. Again, those aren't my words. There was a news article I read in Asian media. But the point is that for them it's a huge win because they need access to our market. So we're not using any of our leverage. Very few American products are going to get sold to Vietnam. But many, many Vietnamese products will get sold into America. So we have all the leverage to apply rules and to apply standards that are fair for American workers. But we're not using that leverage. And that's the point. Remember, this isn't an accident. It's a philosophical difference. The people who negotiated TPP think offshoring is good. That's the big difference, is we don't think in our campaign that offshoring is good, so we're going to use our leverage to get a better deal for the American worker.
Stephen, you make a lot of good points. We appreciate your time this morning.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.